Hey guys, Brazen here and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about the Dancing Plague Extreme. You got to be level 80 and eye level 430 to enter. This boss has 3 different phases and we're going to go over each one. After this guide's over, you'll be able to beat this trial with no problem. Alright, let's get started. Let's go over what this boss drops. This boss drops a random eye level 450 weapon, a king totem which can be used to buy a weapon if you get 10, a dancing wind which is a crafting item, a trumpet which is the mount item, and a titania card. The very first ability the boss does is Bright Sabbath. That's just the unavoidable AoE spell. You can just heal through that or shield through that before it happens. The next mechanic is called Phantom Rune. Just get away from the boss's melee range. If you get hit, it will fear you for 10 seconds, so don't wait for the indicator, move before the cast goes off. The next mechanic is called Mist Rune. The boss summons 4 water circles in the center of the map and 4 water circles in the corners. Each circle has to be occupied by a player. The timer is also displayed by a graphic purple sphere that is just going around the water circle. When that completes, the mechanic is finished. If you're not in it when that completes, an ad will spawn and you'll have to waste time and DPS on that ad. The next mechanic is called Flame Rune. Before the fight even started, you might have been separated into 2 different groups. This is when it counts. Both healers get picked with a stack mechanic, so they have to be separated evenly and stay in the water circles when this is happening. When the mechanic goes off, it's not going to hit 2 groups at the same time, but it's going to hit them one at a time. So if you're a tank and you're repositioning for the next mechanic, don't move too early and don't get hit. Divination Rune is the tank buster in this fight. Not only is it a tank buster, but it's an AoE cleave. Don't hit anybody with this. If you're a tank, just know that after the Flame Rune, it's going to be tank busters, so make sure to reposition as fast as you can without getting hit by anything. Chain of Brambles is a mechanic that links all the DPS to either a tank or a healer, and it snapshots where you were standing when the cast goes off. So when you see that cast start, go behind the boss. Everybody just go behind the boss, and when the cast goes off, pop sprint. Tanks and healers run north, DPS run south. That's usually how everybody does it. By the time you get to that corner, the chain should break. If the chain does not break, you start taking a lot of damage every other second, and it keeps giving you a damage increase debuff from all sources. That's not good. This is the second Phantom Room that you've seen in the first phase. The first Phantom Room you had to move out of the center of the boss, but this time you have to go inside the center of the boss. And just so you guys know, in the first phase, the first Phantom Room is always going to be out and the second Phantom Room is always going to be in. This changes later, but in the first phase it's always like that. When the boss casts Midsummer Night's Dream, that marks the end of the first part of first phase. Now you're going to get into this grass wooden area. This is the second part. Alright, we gotta explain this first mechanic just a little bit. Titania is going to say this may tingle a bit and give out a tether to a random player. What happens is that tether hits a player 6 times. Each hit will give the player a damage increase debuff. The player cannot take more than 1 hit or he will die. So what happens is a player has to take 1 hit and another player has to grab the tether and keep taking the next hit, and the other player has to take the next hit. You can't be too close to anybody as well, so you have to go to the side. So you have to designate 6 different people to trade the tethers in order to do this successfully. Another way to do this is to have the off tank grab the tether, go to the side, take all 3 hits, 1 hit normally and 2 with an ultimate cooldown. Then the other tank takes the other 3 hits, get the tether off the off tank, and then take 1 hit in the face and then the ultimate cooldown the other 2. That's a total of 6 tethers being taken care of by the 2 tanks. If you do it like this, the DPS can focus on their DPS. Everything is going to be better because no one's going to die and it's going to leave less room for any errors later. So this is the best way to do it if you can have 2 tanks to do it. Another note is warriors can't do this because their ultimate cooldown doesn't last more than 6 seconds. So Dark Knights, Gunbreakers, and Paladins can do this successfully, warriors cannot. Phaelite is a cast that's pretty much telling you that it's about to start the tank buster. Nothing necessarily happens as soon as the cast goes off, it's just a few seconds later. What happens is it does a lot of cleave damage to the main tank, right? But it links you to the next person that's next to you. It does a lot of damage. You can't take this by yourself if you pop everything, but you don't want to waste all your cooldowns like that. Just have the off tank pop up next to you, pop 2 cooldowns each, and you'll survive all 3 hits of Phaelite. Phaelite is 3 tank busters, it's cleave, and the damage splits between 2 people. After the tank cleaves, you're going to see the boss cast Growth Rune and then Chain of Brambles. Chain of Brambles, remember, just stack behind the boss, and as soon as the brambles go off, tanks and healers run north and DPS run south. The only difference is watch out where the danger zone spawns. Growth Rune picks 2 random corners with the danger zone. Don't run to that corner because you're going to die, obviously, right? So run to the safe corner. Divination Rune is the tank buster that happens right after Brambles is finished. If you're a tank and you just finished Brambles, don't move the boss or you risk cleaving and killing the entire party. So move the boss until after you see that tank buster go off. Frost Rune is something you guys may have seen before with the Shiva fight. It's going to spawn like 9 circles in succession around the map. The first one is always going to be in the middle, which is always going to explode first. The trick is to find the last circle that dropped because that one's going to explode last. So find the last circle, and as soon as the one in the middle explodes, move there. After the Shiva mechanic finishes, everybody's going to get targeted with an AoE marker. Just don't hit anybody with it and just spread out. Phantom is going to be the last thing that happens in this phase. It's always going to be in. So once you perform this, this marks the end of this phase and the beginning of add phase. At the beginning of add phase, 3 adds spawn in the east, north, and west. A tank picks up Puck in the north, and a tank picks up Peas Blossom in the west. Kill Mustard Seed first, kill the Puck second because he does a tank buster that leaves a debuff, and kill Peas Blossom third. When all 3 adds die, they will respawn into bigger forms of themselves. You do the same thing, kill Mustard first, kill the Puck second, and kill Peas Blossom third. When the bigger adds come out, they're going to throw out a mark mechanic and an AoE cone mechanic. Just don't get hit by anything and don't hit each other. It's really simple. After the mechanics go out, try to stack and get ready for the stack mechanic. After the stack mechanic, you'll see Whispering Wind. It's just an AoE ability, just heal through it. After Whispering Wind is going to be the major mechanic. This is probably the hardest part. DPS will get tethered to a tank or healer, so make sure tanks and healers are on the opposite sides of DPS. What happens is, you have to get as close to the center as you can. Make the brambles go as close together as you can starting, so when Puck hits the center of the map, which by the way, don't be in the very center or you will die. When he punches the center, he'll knock you guys out to wherever you're facing. So make sure you're facing the corner most of the map so you don't get knocked off the map while simultaneously breaking the brambles. After the bramble mechanic, a stack mechanic will happen. 3 people will get marked who have to run away from the group, and 5 people need to stack. Most groups have it to where right after the bramble, everyone just meets middle, except for the 3 people that got marked. At this point guys, the hard part's over. Just finish off the last ad and get ready for some AoE damage, put some shields out, put some heals out, and get ready for the last phase. The first mechanic that's going to happen is Mist Rune, but don't let that trick you. The boss is going to do Mist Rune, which is the water circles, right into a Phantom Rune. So if you see the Mist Runes and you're like in the corners, you're supposed to be in the corners, and you try to go over there and then you realize the boss is doing Phantom Rune, by the time you realize that, you might have already screwed yourself. So see the Mist Rune, but don't do anything yet. Wait for the Phantom Rune. It might be in or it might be out. Do that one first and then go to your spots. When Mist Rune finishes, if you don't get into your circle, an ad will spawn. Just make sure if that happens, just kill the ad. It's not a big deal. If the ad explodes and isn't killed, you will all pretty much die. So what happens is we're doing the same thing we did in the very beginning of the fight where the 2 groups were split with the healer in each group. That's what we're doing right now. And while this is happening, the boss is going to spawn Growth Rune. It has a chance of spawning behind you. If it spawns behind you, you need to get out of there or it's going to grow in front of you and then it's going to kill you. So move clockwise. Watch where it spawns and move clockwise if you need to move. The very next thing would be Phantom Rune. Just know that if the wings get bigger, get out. If they get smaller and recede, get in. After this part, it's pretty much smooth sailing here on out. The next thing you're going to see is an AoE unavoidable damage mechanic, but you've seen all of these mechanics before. Just get ready for them. The more you do this, the more you'll understand the rotation. But you guys pretty much did the hard part. We can go over the rest of the rotation. Next ability is Phalite. This is where the 2 tanks have to gather up, pop some cooldowns, and take 3 major hits. Frost Rune is right after the tank mechanic. This is when 1 circle spawns in the middle and the rest spawn on the outside in succession. Dodge the middle, go for the last circle, and then once the middle one explodes, move to the middle. Just like last time, right after Frost Rune is finished, you're followed up by a mark mechanic. Just don't hit anybody else with it. Separate as fast as you can. Try to heal up as fast as you can because Bright Sabbath is the AoE unavoidable damage mechanic, happens really fast. Up next is that tether mechanic. My group was able to do it with 2 different tanks, which makes it 10 times easier. If you guys can do that, do it. If not, get your 6 people ready to trade all tethers. Make sure you do this. It would be a shame if you guys wiped on this part. After the tether mechanic is going to be the bramble growth rune mechanic. You guys already seen this earlier. You just have to stack behind the boss, get the brambles out. Once brambles are out, tanks and healers run north, DPS run south, break the brambles as fast as you can, keep DPSing the boss. Right after growth rune is going to be phantom rune. Reposition the boss to the middle, closest to everybody as fast as you can, because some people might forget, but everybody has to mentally prepare that. Right after growth rune is phantom rune. don't get hit by this. Don't do this incorrectly. It'd be a shame if you got this far and you just got feared off the edge because you weren't paying attention. After growth room is phantom room. It could be in or it could be out. And after this part, the boss is either going to die or enrage is going to happen. So DPS as fast as you can. Thank you guys so much for coming back to my channel. These videos are not going to stop, and I apologize in advance for that. Say hi to me. I'm on Behemoth, Hokage Brazen. If you like my video, hit like and subscribe. Leave a comment in the comment section. I will definitely see it and will definitely respond. And yeah, I will talk to you guys later.